at the beginning. Just in chapter 1, we looked at verse 2. Let him kiss me with the kisses of his mouth, which we talked about as let him impact my heart with the affections of his word. And so what the first chapter does is it sets the framework for the superiority of the love of God and the divine logic of that, as it were. In other words, why does the Lord open up with the prayer, the cry that the Lord would touch our hearts with His truth in a way that awakens the superior pleasure of His love? It's because of His goal. His goal is to motivate us, not by shame, not by driving us into obedience. The Lord's highest goal, what we're going to find in this journey to maturity, is that because love is His goal, He puts two trees in a garden, not just because He wants to drive Adam and Eve to obedience. He wants voluntary, mature love as the highest of what He's after. And so when love is your goal and obedience fueled by love, then the way that you do that is you do it relationally versus like a dictator or an oppressor. He has all the power, but the way that He uses His power isn't to drive us into compliance. He uses His power to bring us into what's known as affection-based obedience. That's His goal, that we would touch pleasure and be motivated for more pleasure. That's how we're made. It's how we're wired. But the highest of pleasures being His love, it's what we are made for, that love from Him would produce a voluntary response from us to love Him back. That's the dance of the whole book. To understand that is to understand both the leadership of God and His goals in terms of what He's after from the human race. He's after a people, a corporate entity that aren't just living in fear and shame and constant terror that they're going to come short. He's after a people, it's amazing in His humility and the way that He loves and leads. He's after a people that are humble but confident, that are able to walk with Him, not just behind Him or under Him. He's looking for a people that will come alongside of Him. It's unbelievable. And so the goal of voluntary love, fueled by affection-based obedience, not fear, not shame, not the power of God putting us in our place, but God actually wants to bring us to a place of dignity and bring us to a place of honor alongside of Him, that we would confidently engage with humility from a place of tenderness because He's loved us so well. And so the power of that, far more effective in conquering sin, far more effective in laying hold of who we were made to be than the fear of consequences and the fear of rejection and the fear of reprisal. It's the way in which He draws us in. And so because the Lord draws us in by love, it leads to the cry of her heart, which is, draw me away. In verse 4, she says, she's praying, she's going, touch my heart with the truth of your affection from your word. Touch my heart. Impact me with how you feel about me and draw me into it. Bring me into it. But she's wanting to be drawn because He's started the process of drawing her. That's the way that it works. You are, and I am by nature, a bit cold and disconnected and dull and doing our own thing. But what happens is we get this encounter with the love of Jesus. Not just that He changes us and makes us a better person, and not just that He delivers us and gets us out of our mess. It's more than that. He feels a certain way about us. He values us. He cares and is invested and is jealous and committed in a way that we can't change by our behavior to bring us somewhere. And it's powerful. And so when that touches us, it unlocks a whole new realm of desire for obedience, desire for a relationship, desire for more of what we're experiencing in His love. It draws us in. And so what happens in the affection-based obedience, fueled by the way God feels about us, what happens is the first prayer, touch me, impact my heart, make it real to me, make it alive in me, how you feel about me from your truth. that births the second prayer, draw me away. I want to run after you. I want to make my life about the way that you love me and loving you back. It's just how we're made. I think about it in terms of, we're like, this is a strange analogy, but we're like wounded puppy dogs. We're like wounded orphans is the one that everybody uses. Orphans is very common language in the body to describe what I'm talking about. But I think of the puppy dog. I think of the stray dog that's been beaten, abused, rejected. And so they end up reticent and hesitant around people because they're expecting to be hit. They're expecting to be mistreated. And so when they meet someone that extravagantly loves them, at first they don't know how to respond because they've never been treated that way. But that kind of extravagant love unlocks how they were made versus how they've been treated. And so they end up over time almost involuntarily responding to that kind of affection. The little puppy dog goes from beaten, abused, rejected, and scared to responding, following, expecting, excited. That so much changes in terms of behavior when what changes on the inside changes according to how it's loved. In the same way, we're made with the same dynamics. The love of Jesus unlocks something within us. When the word touches us, we can't help but begin to cry, draw me away, draw me after this. I want more of this. And it ends up becoming, if we stay with it. And by stay with it, what I mean is we don't get passive. We don't go on to bigger and better things. We don't graduate into awesome ministry and opportunity. But we centralize our life around the love that transformed us. And we say, God, no, this is what I want. This is what my life's about, more than anything else. More than achievements, more than gifting, more than what I can produce, more than what others say that I am and what I can do with my hands. I want to be about how you love me. There's nothing sweeter than this. And so the superior pleasure births the prayer, draw me away. I want my life to be about this. And so as the book unfolds, her prayer is about, I want my life to be built on the love of Jesus. But the moment that you build a life vision around the love of Jesus, He ends up turning that and building a life vision in you for others. You can't touch the love of Jesus without deeply being transformed in your love for others. That's the glory of it. You end up in true community, not because you were, trying to find the right home group and trying to find the right personality type and hobbies. But what ends up happening is you find true community in fellowship around the burning affections of Jesus. And it unlocks you not to wait till someone finds you. It unlocks you to pursue someone else the way that you were pursued. The way that Jesus pursued you it just transforms you, and you start not waiting around to get invested in. Everybody's going, I want a spiritual dad. I want a mentor. I want help. But what they really need is that Song of Solomon 1-2 encounter to turn into a Song of Solomon 1-2 prayer that bursts the Song of Solomon 1-4 prayer. Draw me away. Draw me into the intrigue and the delight and the pleasure of being loved by you, which then transforms the way that I love. The way that I am loved transforms the way that I love. And now I'm not waiting to be loved by others. I'm loved by Jesus. And it ends up awakening this desire to invest in, love, serve, fight for others, which ends up building community. You get it not by others giving it to you. You get it by Jesus doing something in you. And it's the most beautiful way to begin the journey. And so I want to encourage you, as your takeaway point from this session, make a vision. Get a vision for the love of Jesus and the experience of it to be the highest thing in your life, to be the number one pursuit. Everything else, like the dominoes falling into place, everything else falls into place rightly if you make that your highest priority. If you don't, you're achieving but always unsatisfied. And this, what the Song of Solomon is advertising from its beginning, is the pathway to true and deep satisfaction in the Lord. Amen.